We are about to wrap up 2023 and head into what's going to be the biggest year in crypto history. The perfect storm is coming for crypto in 2024, and it's going to be unlike anything we've seen in crypto so far. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel and our family. If you're looking to become a savage, seasoned crypto investor and become like the Navy SEALs within crypto, you're in the right place. If you, trying to catch up on some lunch before I got rolling. If you, like me, came in crypto because you realize the potential for life-changing gains over a 4 to 8 year period, and you're looking for discussions on becoming a solid, unshakable, savage crypto investor, you're in exactly the right place and the right family, the Rainmaker family. Now, I started this channel because I was once new to crypto like you, but that was 7 years ago now. And even back then, I was looking for a crypto channel and a network or group that understood crypto as an investment and discussed important things like investment cycles and the pros and cons of projects, the risks of those projects, the real risks, and also guesses upside if it came together. I didn't find that in the way I was looking for it, so we created it. And I say we because it's not just me anymore. Omi Child jumping in says, same time as the Akomi AMA. Yes, this is our Friday live stream time, so I wasn't going to change it because there's an Omi AMA. So you'll have to catch the Omi AMA on replay. Chris Ashby says, happy Friday, Rainmakers. Yeah, Don Wynn said the same time. I know, and everyone's excited to hear what's going on with Omi. And Omi is a project I'm following really closely. And its token has been way down, which many people see that as a bad thing. I see that as a great thing because I like to buy low and then sell high. And part of buying low is to be able to buy when everyone else is scared. Well, continuing on, you do see Rainmakers already in the chat putting some comments in. We have a lot of our private chat in our Rainmaker private Discord. You get access to this only through joining the Patreon, and there is a link to that below. You will also find other benefits too within that chat, like private behind-the-scenes interviews that you do not get publicly on YouTube. But you'll have to find out more by joining us there. Now, on to what I wanted to really talk about today. If you haven't already, do make it rain on that like button and strap in for the show, and let's get this started. Now, I've been in crypto since 2017, and 2017 was an amazing bull run. I came in halfway through. I was new to crypto. So like many who were new to crypto, I put money in, watched it grow high, and then watched it reverse on me and go far below what I put in. And that sucked. But like I always say, you're always bad before you're good. And even though I had 20 years investment experience prior to crypto, you think I would have known to make better decisions, but I didn't. Why? Because you're always bad before you're good. I thought the same rules didn't apply, though I knew in other things that yes, when it gets so massive and so many people are coming in, that's usually a cycle peak, and then it will reverse hard on you. I thought those rules didn't apply, and I learned that they very much do. 2021 was an amazing bull run, and it was the first bull run that I was prepared for. Now, many of you came in 2021, so you weren't prepared for 2021. By prepared, I mean buying when everything was cheap in 2019 and 2020, so that you had solid positions, so that when 2021 came around, you could really benefit from having bought low so that you could sell high. And it was my first cycle that I was well prepared for, and it was life-changing. Now, many of you have been preparing from 2021, where many of you came in. You smartly stuck around 2022 and 2023. We've seen some amazing lows on many projects, with a few of them still being at those amazing lows. And you're going to see how that adds up in 2024. Now, I know some of you are still scared to buy. It's hard buying when it's low. It's so much easier to buy when it's high, hoping it goes higher. And this is what most people do. And this is why so many people do so poorly at crypto, because that pattern doesn't work out very well for you. because we buy hoping it goes higher, and it often does. Sometimes it doesn't. We end up buying right at the peak, and then it reverses on us, and we don't take profits. We're just so new at this, and this is why 95% of investors coming into crypto do well. And though I call them investors, they're not really investors. They don't know what they're doing. They're just FOMOing in, and then they panic sell out. Well, what's special about 2024 is we have a perfect storm coming. And I talked a little bit about that in our private Patreon chat. I call it the pre-live stream that we have every Friday. And I was sharing some of my thoughts on this perfect storm. Now, 2024 was always going to be great, even if some other things weren't going to happen. And that's just because there's like a 3.7 year cycle from top to top in crypto. We saw it in 2013. We saw it then in 2017. We saw it again in 2021. And though it seems like, well, there's 4 years between each of those, it's not actually quite a 4-year cycle. It's under 4 years. It's about a 3.7 year cycle. So this year, I expect it to hit either late 2024 or maybe it comes even a little early. The last one hit in March of 2021. So about 3.7 years later will be December 2024. And just with that almost 4-year cycle, 2024 was going to be great anyway. But there are some special things happening this cycle that's going to create a pump unlike we've seen. Now, many people thought 2021 might be a super cycle. There wasn't a lot of evidence to back that up. It was just hope. But for 2024, I think that's different. And let's talk about why. Well, first of all, if you noticed some of the Joe Biden campaign ads already running, he's going to run on the strength of the stock market. And the stock market is often a reflection of what people think about the economy. Well, in every election cycle, the interest rates, actually every election cycle that I can remember going back to when I was like 14, even when I wasn't in the US, I tried to pay attention to things. I don't know why I paid attention to things at such an early age. I just did. But I guess it was mostly because I was interested in real estate. And I saw that US mortgage interest rates would go down every election cycle. Especially in the past number of years, it's been coupled with something else, and that's a lot of money being put into the economy. And so they call that quantitative easing. So a lot of what's coming this year is going to be a lot of money being put into the economy by the Federal Reserve, coupled with interest rates coming down, which creates a risk-on situation that a lot of your big money wants to go into assets. A lot of times, historically, those assets that they go into are gold, real estate, or stocks. But this year, well, with all that quantitative easing coming in and the money printing, a lot of that money is going to flow into, yes, those assets. But secondarily, a lot is going to flow into crypto, more so than normal, because the second pillar of this perfect storm is institutional adoption. So ETFs are going to allow institutional money to easily flow into crypto like we've never seen before. Now, spot ETFs. Futures ETFs were approved like back in 2017, but that doesn't actually bring more money into crypto. It allows them to trade crypto, but basically using US dollars. They're not really trading crypto. With spot ETFs, they actually have to be holding the asset in the ETF. So a spot Bitcoin ETF means massive amount of money will go into actually owning Bitcoin that has to be held in order for those positions to be there. And so we will see a demand for Bitcoin that we've never seen before coming from institutional money. Now, this is going to flip things around significantly more than people realize. Now, all the way back since the early 1900s, when the Securities and Exchange Commission or some securities laws were passed, or in the 30s, after the 1920s boom and then collapse, regulators got in. They decided that people weren't smart enough to be able to invest their own money. So though they would let you gamble and go to a casino and gamble your money, they wouldn't let you invest in something that you might lose it on. And you think that that was an ability to protect people? Maybe it was. I'm a little bit more skeptical, because why will they let you go to a casino just fine, but they won't let you invest in something that you could make money on, but you could lose on? Well, the stated answer is to protect you. But probably the real answer is different. It's to allow exclusivity to the institutions and the big money to buy the assets early. And so by the time there's initial public offering, that's actually the early money exiting and dumping to you. Many times they're making 100x on their money by the time the IPO even happens. And so literally they're then exiting into your hands. And so institutions were allowed to invest early and you weren't. Crypto has flipped that around, because institutions, for the most part, have not been allowed to invest and you were. I bet that made these institutional players so mad, watching all of you be able to buy Bitcoin, ETH, whatever altcoins you wanted, and they couldn't put those kind of things on their books for a few different reasons. Yes, don't put the link to the AMA in here. You're welcome to find it after. Yeah, cool. Like, check out the Ecomi AMA. I did want to address some of the recent FUD about the exchange stuff and some things. We did talk a little bit about that in the pre-live stream as well. And Ecomi is still very hot on my radar. Institutional adoption is coming, and these institutions have had basically been held back at the gates while we've been allowed to front run them. They do hate that, and they are going to be able to buy. Now, there are other things going on with institutional adoption outside of spot Bitcoin ETFs, and that we recently had on Manu from Definity come join us, and he was talking about how they've been opening those gateways to sovereign wealth funds, banks, and institutions in Europe, Africa, and other countries. And so Definity is opening up those gateways through much of Europe and the rest of the world. And the ETFs is going to allow it to happen easily in the US. So we are going to see institutional money coming into crypto like we've never seen before. So already you have this perfect storm coming together. It was already going to be a big year. Quantitative easing and institutional adoption, the perfect storm coming together. And I would actually add there's a fourth storm coming that people aren't realizing how big it's going to be. And I would say that that's blockchain gaming. Video games have become one of the most lucrative industries in the whole world, and it's going to get even bigger as esports become a bigger thing, and as asset ownership is introduced like it's never been introduced before. And this is what blockchain gaming allows. And 2024 is going to see the release of games that will probably hit big. The amount of money coming into these games will exceed anything anybody in gaming has ever seen. And we did see in 2021 that Axie Infinity hit numbers that were just absolutely incredible with a fairly simple game, a very simplistic economy. And yet it became the 10th highest played game in the world for a short period of time. And the company behind Axie Infinity actually made $1 billion in revenue with a pretty simplistic model on a game that was getting lots of playing, but it's not really an exciting game. What happens in 2024 is some of these AAA level games get released in the marketplace, and they're actually really fun to play. I think we will see some of the asset prices of in-game assets and drops that people receive hit some pretty remarkable prices. And it's going to be amazing to watch the amount of attraction into the crypto space blockchain gaming brings. It's going to be really big. Chris Ashby says, hey, Freelander and Bill. Game Trove says, good morning, Rainmakers. What's up? Yeah, some thoughts. We can look at anything you want to look at today. We are going to be doing a on-chain giveaway. And we will be also giving away some Definity tokens. So both from our strategic partners. Let me know what's on your mind in the crypto space as well. I know many of you are excited because we had blockchain gaming and a few other things really run. And sometimes when this is your first bull market that you're prepared for, the crypto winter can really savage your thoughts on what's happening and get you kind of depressed. So it's helpful when you actually have some proof that things can go the other way. And I know for some of you, you're probably doubting pretty significantly, but as you saw some of these blockchain gaming projects, specific ones that I covered, like Myria and like Cetus and their Senate token, and some other ones have 10 and 15 X's. Well, then you start to see what can happen. Now, 10 and 15X is pretty amazing, but nothing compared to what you're going to see when we have the full parabolic move. Sometimes you'll see 5 or 10X in a day. All right, let me know what's on your thoughts, what questions are on your mind, and what things do you want me to take a look at. I am going to take a look at the OMI token because I said I would, and I will talk about some of my thoughts on David Yu's explanation of one of the reasons why they do not have any exchanges yet. Now, a lot of people got pretty upset about his explanation on why they're not on any other exchanges yet. He said that part of it is because the amount of negative sentiment that the exchanges are hearing about the OMI token, and so they're just not listing for that reason. And one of the reasons that stated before, too, is that there was a document that David Yu missed to DocuSign within a certain time frame, and then they didn't get on it. Let me ask you, really, how much of a difference would it make if they were on another exchange, like maybe OKX or who knows, KuCoin? Would it make a real big difference? I suggest that it wouldn't, and I'm going to provide you some evidence. First of all, let me grab another chart. I want to show you another one that has some very big listings on a very big exchange. And let's see what's happening with their token. All right, let me share this tab. And this is the Flow blockchain. So a lot of people think that if they were on some big exchanges, that something different would absolutely be happening with the token. Is that true? I don't think it is. Why? Because it only pumps it when the narrative is already pumping. So let me share with you the Flow blockchain on CoinMarketCap, and we're going to look at what markets they're on. So look at Flow blockchain. It's on Coinbase, Binance, HTX, Gate.io, OKX, Bybit, Kraken, KuCoin. So it's on the biggest exchanges out there in use. And yet, where is the price? Absolutely devastated too. Now, I like devastated because I think Flow is massively undervalued. I like a devastated price because unlike 90 to 95% of the people out there, I like to buy low so I can sell high. And so devastated price is a good thing for me. Now, unfortunately, it's not quite as low as it was. It recently hit all the way down there to 43 cents, which is an amazing price. And it's come back up to 89 cents. Now, it might retrace again one more time, not quite as low as it did before, and then go up. Cool. It also might not. But even at this current price of 90 cents, I think Flow is a great price. So the chart looks relatively the same between Ecomi and Flow. And yet, oh my gosh, Flow is on all these big exchanges. So it's really just mostly inexperienced people and a few experienced people that maybe haven't noticed the distinction between an exchange listing in a bear market versus an exchange listing in a bull market. And we're not in the really hype section of the bull market. So if Ecomi all of a sudden announce that they were on some new exchange, they would get a little pump and a little excitement based on that. And then it would just pull back again. So I don't care if they get on another exchange in the coming 3 or 4 months. What I'm waiting for is the narrative of digital collectibles to hit again, because when that hits again is when things are going to go gangbusters again. Getting to Chris's question. Hey, Jay, do you think since institutional money will be coming into space that the pullback after the blow off top will not be as significant? Do you think that there will be any coins that don't pull back? Fantastic question. So know that none of us know for sure how this is going to play back, but the same rules tend to apply. So when the pendulum swings really far to one way, there's almost always a pullback. So the only time there isn't a pullback is when something doesn't get massively overpumped. However, people chase green candles like you can't believe. We saw this in 2021, that the line of people trying to buy Bitcoin at 65,000 was like wrapping around the block. Yet at 15,000, nobody was trying to pick up Bitcoin and buy it. So green candles bring massive fear of missing out. So the pendulum always swings too far to each way, especially in crypto, especially because the speed of which people can buy. And so the only way it doesn't swing back is if it doesn't overpump. And I can't see a scenario in which it doesn't overpump. Because as we get these green candles, people will start moving their money from other sources. So you'll see real estate being sold off to buy crypto. You'll see stocks or retirement funds being sold and put into crypto like you've never seen before. And so with that comes the other side of the pendulum swings too far to one side, it has to swing back. So I don't see a situation in where there won't be a pullback, except in maybe some coins that don't overpump. One of the things that didn't really pull back in the bull market versus the bear market was the BNB token. Binance was a fairly new exchange, and at first the use case for the BNB token was only you got a discount on your trading fees on Binance. And Binance wasn't the biggest exchange at the time. It was an up-and-coming exchange in 2017 and even 2018. But CZ continued to roll out use cases for it that improved the coin's use case. And so the BNB token was one of the only ones that did not have a pullback, and that's because it never got overpumped. And the use cases for the token continued to be increased. And that in 2018, I think later 2018, they launched Binance, where they were launching projects directly on Binance. So you could do an initial exchange offering, but you had to hold a bunch of BNB token in order to participate. Then you saw in 2020, I believe, they rolled out the Binance Smart Chain. First, they rolled out a different chain, and then they kind of upgraded to the Binance Smart Chain, and you had to use the BNB token as gas. So there were more and more use cases given to Binance token, and so it didn't really pull back. Now in 2021, there was a pullback because it did get overhyped with the 2021 bull run. And then, like everything that the pendulum swings too far to one way, there haven't been new use cases introduced for the BNB token since then. So it got overhyped and then it pulled back like everything else. I think we're going to see that in 2024. Perhaps the bigger swing back comes in 2025, because I think probably the bull run continues into 2025, especially if the bull run really kicks off in late 2024. Nick Scott says, Jay, your interview with Manu from Definity got me really excited. It was exceptional. If you caught that interview, Manu is sharing how they are opening the gateways for Europe institutional investment, as well as Asia, Africa. Like basically, even they have some conversations with the US, but the US has been one of the later markets that they're focusing on because all their connections are like deep, really deep in Europe. And they have some good connections in the US as well, but nothing official to announce in the US yet, though they've had a lot of official announcements about banks throughout Europe, and many of them some of the largest European banks that are allowing a way. You have to look at how Manu explains it. It's fascinating. I didn't realize there was this problem with institutions being able to buy crypto, and there's some hurdles there that Manu and his team has been working for 4 years to remove those hurdles and make it easy. So it'll seem all of a sudden like Definity is an overnight success, maybe next year, but it'll be an overnight success 5 years and longer in the making, because Manu's been in this field for 25 years, has incredible connections, has a huge client list already of major investors like investment banks, hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds that use their software DMA link to invest in foreign exchange and currencies. So they'll then be adding crypto to it. So then all these people that are already investing through their software can then easily buy some of the big cryptos, including Bitcoin, ETH, and some of the top altcoins. Yeah, there are some auto things that delete chats. So you might be saying some kind of banned word. I don't know what it might be, but YouTube like screens out some things. So I haven't gone in and deleted anyone's chat, but there's 2 people saying that their chat got deleted. Maybe try saying it just in a different way. Definity bros sound sharp. Rain, show us what's hot. Well, what is hot is usually what feels like it's not. Remember, one of the principles for making great money in crypto is buying low and then selling high. So, I mean, let's talk very real about that. I'm a really big fan of Myria, and I still think their nodes are a hell of a deal. I think down the road, like the value of those nodes, and you can't resell them right now. They might unlock the ability for that later. But the amount of tokens that you're getting per node still makes sense. But the token itself is not such a great deal anymore. If you remember when I was covering it, what was hot, in my opinion, was Myria. But did it feel like it was hot? No. Felt very boring. The chart felt very boring. But then what happened? Then it got really hot. Well, it's no longer an amazing deal anymore, right? Another one that I covered back then was Cetus, and it very much felt very boring, and I covered it actually right near the bottom of here. More specifically, I said between the two, I like the Senate token better, and the Senate token bottomed out at about 2 cents, just under 2 cents, and it's still up. It went to 15x, but it's still up almost 12x from the 2 cent price. And if you had gotten it a little bit cheaper, but specifically, I said Senate when it was way down here, and that it was so in my buy zone and it was so massively undervalued, I couldn't believe it was hitting the prices it did. And like I often share, the pendulum often swings too far each way. And so it swung too far to the downside. And that's what gets me really excited. Back on that, OMI is too cheap right now, in my opinion, which is cool. I like too cheap. But a lot of people aren't prepared to buy it because they're too busy worrying about what all these inexperienced people that don't understand the principle of buying low are saying and fudding on Ecomi. Ecomi as a business has some of the best intellectual property, digital collectibles in the world. They have a marketplace that works pretty dang well, not perfect, but pretty dang well. They continue to release other things. Now, keep in mind, notice I'm talking about their token as being undervalued. I also think some of their digital collectibles are undervalued, but I'm very careful on which digital collectibles I buy because that's money I could be using to buy other things. And so when some new collectible launches, I'm buying almost no drops at drop time unless it's a massive first appearance comic on their thing. Most of the time, I'm just waiting till things get a little bit boring. For example, Darth Vader, I think, is massively underpriced on their marketplace, VV marketplace. I think Boba Fett is underpriced. I think Luke Skywalker is starting to get boring enough that he's underpriced. I like to get things when everybody's focusing on the new shiny object within the VV marketplace. But I haven't been putting a whole ton of money in the VV marketplace because there's some other digital collectibles that nobody is talking about right now that are massively undervalued because nobody is looking at them right now, being brought to us by a company that has an incredible track record, and yet no major YouTube channel, pretty much no small YouTube channel, is even covering them yet. Yet it's probably going to be some of the biggest 2 projects coming. And I created a course about that. You can find that link below, but I won't share with you what those projects are. You have to take that course. Now, the course, you can use the discount on there to get 60% off. That course is massively underpriced. If you realize the potential that is there when you see that course, I'm pretty sure you're going to do incredible gains, and you will probably outperform most of the market with those picks. And that's why I released that course. In my opinion, those projects were so undervalued, it was just sickening. And the course needed an in-depth explanation of what was going on, what pattern I had seen before, and why I thought these 2 were so massively undervalued that that's where most of my fresh money goes. In fact, some of the profits I'm taking on other projects, I've been rolling directly into there. The majority of my money has been going into the projects I cover on that course. Delta Plane says, I took the course, well worth it. I'm going in hard. Me too. I'm very skeptical of AC. What is AC? MK, big competitor for Myria. Now, I know that, what's his name? Somebody in the OMI community has been covering MK a lot. It just seems pretty basic to me. It doesn't fundamentally make my list. That doesn't mean MK isn't going to do well. So it's just brought up here, and I've had a few questions over the last week. It's not like it's a bad project. I don't understand what makes it special, though. So right now their market cap is at 18 million. It's pumped from its lows, but it hasn't pumped tremendously. So its bottom was here. So it's only up 4.5x. I like that part of it, that it's not up massively. What's holding me back is this. I only have so much funds, and so I'm trying to get the very best out there. So is Medicaid in the very best? I just don't see enough to say that it is. And its market cap, it's not like it's dirt cheap. It's still 18 million. I mean, if we look over at the Senate token, MK's token is just under the market cap of the Senate token, and the Senate token has just had a massive pump. So, keep in mind, I'm not saying Medicaid won't do just fine in the bull market. I'm pretty certain it will. Any project that has a halfway decent team going into the coming bull run, when you see some of the blockchain gamings hit the top played gaming games in the world, you'll see all of the blockchain gaming space do incredible numbers. So Medicaid might even do a 10x from here. It might even do 100x from here because of that. The question is, are there other things that might outperform it? And so that's why I'm not loading up on Medicaid. Just, I do somewhat like where the chart is compared to other blockchain gaming. So on that standpoint, it's cool. I'm not opposed to it. It's just not my highest one to look at. Let's look at what marketplace it's on. So it's on Uniswap. It's on X Markets, which is okay. I've used X Markets before. BitGet and Bitmart. I haven't really used those. BitGet keeps reaching out to me to do some kind of partnership, and I just haven't wanted to. They don't quite meet my threshold. I'd like to make sure I know BitGet is solid for any kind of exchange partnership, and I've just told them no. I haven't used it myself. I can't say I feel like they're very secure. I hope they are. They we just don't have a good history on Bit yet. So Uniswap is the place to get this. I have used X markets and for the most part not run into problems with using X markets and withdrawing from it. Sometimes it took up to 2 days and that was a pain, but I was able to withdraw from X markets. Do I feel really secure with X markets? No. All right. Thoughts on the Gary token? Gary token. What is Gary token? Gary Network. So it's a project on Solana. A lot of the Solana ecosystem really recovered from its low. So it was at 1 cent. It's at 4 cents. So it's only up 4x. I don't know anything about this token though. Gary.net, world's largest Web3 audio and video live streaming platform. Well, that's interesting. Looks kind of interesting, actually. So let me share with you this. This is their website. It's worth looking deeper into. Now, a lot of times they'll be like our partners in like Kraken, Crypto.com, OKX. That just usually is describing what markets they're on. So you'll see they're on Radium, KuCoin. They're on OKX. They're not on Kraken. So maybe Kraken's legitimately an investor in them. And that would be good news if that's true. I like the narrative that they're in, and it hasn't really hit yet. This might be a really good suggestion. Definitely something to look into. I would want to, by looking into it, I would want to hear more about what they're about. So our backers, investors, and partners, is that Galaxy Digital? Republic, Alameda Research? Oh boy, they're not one of my favorite investors. Interesting. AngelList, Bloom, FJ Labs. Okay. Looks really interesting, actually. Great suggestion. This merits further research. And one of the ways I further research things usually is I'll then go to YouTube and I'll search Gary token crypto or something. All you need to know about, was it Chingari? Is that what that is? Is that the same? Gary Network. Was it once called Chingari? I'm not seeing whether it is or not. Okay, so here's 118 views. Sometimes even these smaller channels, I don't mind watching analysis from these smaller channels like this one. Sometimes I do want, what I hope from them is that I'm getting a really good in-depth, like a great analysis. Sometimes I just hear stupid buzzwords. They're like, oh, it's hot and it's going to do well. And then their reasons why it's going to do well isn't very good. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a good reason on why it's going to do well. Okay, who hacked Gary token? Is it a scam a year ago? Looks like it was Chingari, and now they've kind of just gone by Gary. That might be partly why it's down. Interesting. Okay. Good suggestion by one of the viewers. That's worth looking at. Chingari app utility token is Gary. Okay. We talking OMI yet? We did talk about OMI. Did you have further questions about it? Yo Rain, current thoughts on Savage token? This is a great question, Sourdy. I really enjoyed the interview you had with their CEO from a year ago, and it seemed that the narrative hasn't hit yet. It is not. It's probably, well, it's definitely one that I've been buying more of. I have some of it. I've been buying more of Savage. If you haven't watched that interview, go back and watch that interview. Now, it's just completely outside the narrative right now, but their biggest competitor is, gosh, what is the name of that? One of their biggest competitors is one of the largest market cap coins. I'm forgetting the name. I'm gonna find it. Not Injective. It's been out of the narrative for a while. So even their competitor, the one that kind of dominates it, Theta. Theta is number 60 on the market cap right now, but Theta is a very big project, and it was once way up here. It also has been punished because it's just been outside the narrative, and Theta is pretty cheap right now. But let's pull up Savage. So this is Savage. Now, the market cap on CoinMarketCap is wrong. The market cap is actually more accurate on CoinGecko. Their market cap is like half of the fully diluted market cap. And here it's showing it as 203,000. It's not. It's like 2 million. And so I wish it was as cheap as the market cap is 203,000. But it's about 2 million, which is still really, really cheap. If you compare that to Theta, Theta's market cap is 1 billion. So Savage have to do a 500x to go from $2 million market cap to $1 billion market cap, if it can do it. And that's if, because it's early stage. Essentially, as crypto investors, the part of the crypto space that I look at is early stage investment in altcoin projects that have a real substantive thing that they're working on. And Savage is bringing high quality video and audio for like film producers. So say you produce some really good B-roll film at like 8K resolution and you want to put it on a marketplace. So why can't you create that as an NFT? You could either create it so only one buyer can buy it so that they own it exclusively, or you could put some kind of limitations that, 1,000 NFTs are made off of it and 1,000 buyers can buy it. And this allows basically people who are putting film together to be able to buy high quality B-roll film without having to go shoot it themselves. Now, there are some centralized marketplaces already that people are doing this. So they have some competitors outside of the crypto space. Is this something that has to run on crypto? No. But those marketplaces are less efficient than what blockchain will allow, and the fees are really high on those marketplaces. So a really good marketplace has potential for a massive inroad for a company like Savage to do really well. Gary is listed in the Apple Store also. Interesting. Gary is the utility token of the Chingari app, which has 100 million downloads in India. Jeez. Yeah. Looks really interesting, actually. Vladimir missed the Omi token part. When TikTok banned in India, Chingari got 200 million downloads in India 1 year. Nice. Kopi node sale. Well, I have some mixed thoughts on the Kopi node sale. The node price versus the amount of tokens distributed from it didn't make very much sense to me. Now, the amount of tokens distributed might end up being different, because if everyone bought all the nodes and then ran the nodes right away when they're supposed to, then the amount of tokens you would get per node isn't very good. You would be better off probably just buying cornucopias tokens and holding them. However, like if the token price does go up a lot, I suspect that it will, then you'll do pretty decent on the nodes. But that was just my thought. I just felt like you were better off buying the token. Now, I covered Cornucopia's token before it ran. Remember, some other blockchain gaming stuff ran first, and Cornucopia's hadn't run yet. It was still back down here as Myria and other things were running. So it's done about a 3x since I covered Cornucopia's back here a month ago and said, gosh, it hasn't run yet. I think it's undervalued. It had just started to climb, so it's went about 4x from where I covered it. And yeah, since pulled back just a touch. But buying it now, I just don't chase into green candles. Am I going to buy more cornucopias tokens here now? No, I do have a whole bunch of their land and other items, and I have delegated my Cardano wallet to Kopi so I can earn some more tokens. And that's what I'm doing there. Aha. Yes, Nick Scott nailed on a point that is a great point. They're undervalued. Let's see. I don't have a Cardano wallet associated with this browser. Let's see. Was it jpeg.store? And let's see. Cornucopia's land sale. I think Cornucopia's land is a fantastic deal right now. And so you can buy some of the small commons at 148 Cardano. And so what is that? Cardano's trading about 60 cents. So you're looking about $100. I think these do pretty well. Maybe they go to about $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 a piece. I don't know. If blockchain gaming really goes crazy, you could have something like this go to $5,000. And I realize that's only a 50x. That 50x is pretty dang good. It's incredible compared to what you can do in other things. And so I do think NFT land is one of the most underpriced things. And I'll probably do a course on that coming up because it's just so undervalued. Nobody's paying attention to NFT land. A lot of NFTs aren't getting very covered, although Bored Ape Yacht Club just had a pump like a month ago. And but most of the NFT land, like Illuvium, Cornucopias, Network, even like land on Sandbox, I think is a massive deal right now. I would say the medium rares are especially underpriced now. Yeah, sometimes the floor on things gets so cheap for the entry level. And the nice thing about the entry level is that turning around and flipping it for something you're going to flip is often the easiest. But let's go to medium. Why does it not let me select for medium? That was weird. Size. It'll let me select for large. Might just have to scroll. So it looks like medium land claim plot starts at around 309. So it's only double the price, roughly. That's not bad. In fact, you got this one at 300 right here. So pretty good deal. Yeah, I think it's massively undervalued. Do I like McFarlane Digital? I do like McFarlane Digital a lot. I like some of the, I like the way Todd McFarlane thinks about things. I like what he's releasing. There's been some missteps made by him. Notice there's missteps made by every project in crypto. I like so much about how he thinks about things. So he wants to release, like he releases his stuff at a really cheap price, which I think is the best way to do things, like even cheaper than VV collectibles. Now, VV, unfortunately for VV, a lot of times they're not releasing like their own stuff. They have to price it where their partners want them to price it. But McFarlane Digital is releasing a lot of his things at prices that are really attractive, which leads to growth potential. And growth potential makes a big difference on the ability of something to really appreciate. So I don't know if you were around, but Bored Ape Yacht Club, they released it like 0.08 ETH, which at the time was worth maybe $150 or I don't remember. But a pretty low price, and that gave it room to try to really grow. Now there were some other NFT sets that released with, major celebrities or anything, other things, and they would release it like $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 a piece, and those never perform very well. And the problem is that the initial gains were made by the person releasing it. They didn't leave upside potential on the table for people buying the things. And so Todd McFarlane seems to really get that, and I think the stuff that he's releasing is pretty high quality. So keep an eye on McFarland stuff on the resale market, because there was a lot of hype at first and a lot of people buying his stuff. I don't like to buy then. I haven't bought any yet. I'm starting to get interested now. I'd have to see where prices are at and if it's worth it. But I like to buy things when the shine is kind of gone and people are forgetting about things. So one of my biggest gains I made, potential gains, because I still haven't sold the item, was there was a project called NBA Top Shots that released in mid 2020. And in like September or October of 2020, September, I think, I bought LeBron James. It was a rare LeBron James moment, and bought it for like $57. And 6 months later is the digital collectibles narrative hit. It went from like $57 or $58 all the way up to about $19,000. Yeah, what was that? About a 300 and something, 400, almost 400x. No, less than that, like 300 something X. So incredible gains off of a collectible. But the time to buy it wasn't when it initially released and when the shine was kind of off it, but before the digital collectibles narrative was really front of people's minds. So Todd McFarlane's probably entering that zone right now. Just like Justin says, I totally forgot about McFarlane. Exactly. He's out of the narrative. His project is out of the narrative, which means probably some people who have bought initially are panic selling out of it, which they're probably going to panic sell right into our hands, which is what I like to do. Oh, Nick Scott says the medium rares are $475. Now, the downside of rares, I mean, there's an upside to them. The downside is like you have to be logging in when they announce it, because the rarity gives you priority in picking where the land is. And do remember that location means everything. So some people with medium rares are going to be ready to go, and when rare is time for those with rare, they get to then pick where the location is. Some are going to pick great locations, and some of the people are going to pick poor locations. But locations in real estate is everything. So I haven't seen what the map is going to look like and how big of a difference location is going to be. Sometimes in digital worlds, location isn't going to mean a whole lot if you just teleport everywhere you want to be anyway. But I don't know, in a massive multiplayer / metaverse, location could end up being very critical. And so the rarity of your plot might end up making a really big difference, especially if you exercise the option to pick your thing as early as you can, so you can get as good of a location as possible. Let's see. Twitter. All right. Okay, who's ready for our giveaway questions? As you know, we have two strategic partners, OneChain and Definity. Bumper, we had a strategic partnership with them, and it was only ever 3 months. I'm still regularly in touch with Bumper, and I love what they're doing. But they're no longer a strategic partner. We do have an ongoing relationship with OneChain and Definity, and they give us tokens to give away to all of you when we do our live streams. So OneChain, we have 500 WON to give away. And I wanted to mention something about OneChain. First, let's look at their price. Now, I had another one of these situations. So one of my family members was trying to bridge over $500 from the Binance Smart Chain over to ETH. And the way they had been doing it was that they were doing it through sending it to an exchange and then withdrawing from the exchange. And so someone else told them to use OneChain before I could respond on that, and OneChain's bridge. And then they used OneChain's bridge, which was awesome. It worked flawlessly. It's so much easier than the old way you had to do it, which was essentially send it to an exchange and then withdraw it on a different network, right? So they were able to bridge over USDC or USDT over to the ETH chain really easily, and cost them less than if they had sent it to an exchange and then had to withdraw from that exchange. And so it made it a simple, easy process. and they were blown away by how easy it was. And that was my experience with using Chain's bridge too. Also, like I shared with you before, I like to buy things when it's cheap, and Chain is very cheap. Its market cap for who the project is and who's behind it is only $50 million. Most of their tokens are already in circulating supply. It is one of the biggest projects out there that nobody is paying attention right now. And that's when I think things are an amazing deal. One of my rules for strategic relationships is that the project not only has to be a substantive project, but the price has to be at an attractive price, because I don't want things that are going to wreck my audience. And part of things being good to not wreck my audience is the price has to be attractive enough that it can do well. And Chain absolutely fits well into that category. But keep in mind with where the price is today. So 500 won is worth over $100 now. But the bigger question is, how much is that 500 won going to be a year from now? With the question then on that, let me jump over to the question. The first person that gives me the answer that I'm able to see is the one that wins, even though your answer might show up sooner than someone else's answer. It's got to be the one that hits my screen the first, because whenever you type in your own answer, it instantly updates to your app. That doesn't mean it was actually the first answer. So as of 3 hours ago, what was the uninterrupted uptime on Chain's proof of stake blockchain and decentralized network of bridges? Pete D. Oh man, you guys are so fast. Pete wins that with 5 years, 341 days. It's almost like you had it pre-filled in. Holy cow. Yeah, you guys are fast. That was 1, 2, 3, 4 real fast. But Pete D did show up first for me here. So Russ, yeah, that was fast. Pete, shoot me a DM on Telegram and make sure, I know you've won before. Let me know to use the existing wallet or what wallet, and I'll send it to you. Russ Gould, great question. Let's take a look at this. Animal Concerts is one of the ones that I hope does well. It's at a risky point of, can they survive? Keep in mind that one of my best performers in my portfolio last market, I was scared at a couple points that it wouldn't survive that market. It did, thank goodness, but Animal Concerts is one that I've recently been buying some more of even. But I hope they survive, because these early times can be really hard for projects to survive. So they're out of Dubai now. That's interesting. I don't know that they were before. I'm looking over on their Twitter. And Russ Gold says, Animal Concerts reign. They tweeted about a Paul Oakenfold concert. Then after the event date, the post disappeared and no event footage. Very suspect. They probably didn't get the traction they wanted with it, and maybe it didn't happen. Look, people aren't really thinking about this narrative. There's not a lot of money in there. Videoing, the type of videoing they need to do. In speaking to the CEO, I think this was a afterwards discussion. It cost them about $300,000 to do a really good job getting all the footage in a way that it can be put into the 3D world for a metaverse. Now, probably those costs will go down over time, but I can imagine if they weren't getting a lot of interest and a lot of traction, they might have not wanted to put the $300,000 into that, if that's still what the costs are. So they are posting about every 2 weeks, and it looks like they're surviving. They're probably in survival mode of like just trying to survive the bear market and keeping probably a little bit of things going. But it's not really a cash intensive type business, where it's not like they probably have a big office and use a whole lot of cash. So I don't know why they would go out of business in the meantime. As long as they're keeping their cash outflows to a minimum, they could survive until this narrative comes back, and then they're well positioned to do really well. So I have been buying more of this recently. Am I concerned they could fail? Yeah, I'm concerned they could fail. I did think that there was a chance that Axie Infinity would fail, and yet it didn't. So just some thoughts on that. Great question. All right. Now we have our Definity giveaway. Now, Definity, this won't come from their Twitter. This has to do if you caught the interview with Manu. Why? Because, well, shoot, it was such a good interview. There was something that came out in that interview that I don't know if all of you caught, but if you did, then you're going to be able to answer this question. Now, Definity is in the DeFi space. But if you did watch that AMA with the CEO, Manu Chowdhury, you notice they have built an anomaly detector that some of their hedge funds clients use to trade. Think about that anomaly detector, because that anomaly detector also puts them in one of the best crypto projects in a whole second narrative within crypto. What narrative would that be? This is a hard question. Lee Downs has it. AI. Give me just a sec. Puts it within AI. I'm just finishing my lunch. If you think about it, they're in the AI narrative as well. Their anomaly detector, I mean, really what an anomaly detector is it's using advanced algorithms to detect pattern behavior and forecast the future, right? So essentially, you're using artificial intelligence. That's all artificial intelligence is. So it's one of the best projects within a narrative such as that. And so whether people realize or not, Definity is solidly within the AI narrative as well. So Lee, shoot me a message to my Telegram, and I will get those sent over to you. They will be tokens on the BNB chain. Chris Ashby says, wow, nicely. I did not get that one. Yeah. Many of you had good good answers, right? The bond market, yes. They a lot of what he talked about also in the private chat we had with him, which was absolutely amazing, was some things going on in the bond market that, I don't know that much about the bond market. And so how bonds are actually coming over to the NFT space and why banks will use bonds that are on the blockchain and what a big deal that is. What is the best coin to pick up right now? Well, I couldn't tell you anyway, even if I knew. Like I have a lot of projects I like, and I share with you the reasons I like it. But telling you the best coin to pick up right now, number one, would do a couple things. It wouldn't teach you how to fish. It would be fishing for you, which doesn't help you learn how to fish. And the purpose of this channel is to teach you and let you learn how to fish, because I'm not about doing everyone's picks for them. And even if I could be right all the time, which I can't be right all the time, even though my percentages are really good, you wouldn't be learning anything. What happens when I'm on a private island or sailing in the Mediterranean for 3 months and stuff? Your ability to continue to invest and make good trades would go to zero, because you never learned how to do that. You were just counting on me to make picks for you. That's why this channel is built around teaching you the principles, connecting you into a network of people who think the same, so that even when I'm completely out of the space or doing something else, or I don't know if I'll ever be completely out of the space, but even if I'm not posting regular videos, you can use these principles to continue to make money in the coming 8 to 10 years. So I can't really tell you. You can watch that video. You can buy the course on the 2 projects that I think are massively undervalued. Nobody's talking about them right now. Not even the small channels in crypto. But when you see what I'm talking about, you'll be like, how in the world is everybody missing this? Holy cow. Because they are missing it. All right. that's some of what's on my mind. Let's go back to OMI because I think OMI is undervalued. A lot of people have the hardest time buying when it's cheap. And it's incredible to me how often they miss this. So we do have this very nice double bottom pattern playing out. Like this is a textbook turnaround pattern right here. And yet the flooding is at all-time highs, like absolutely incredible flooding. People are just totally missing the point on buying low. And like, you know, recently David Yu's interview saying some reasons on why they're having trouble getting onto some exchanges. And it's because there's a lot of antipathy towards them and a lot of flooding going on. And it is harder than normal to get on exchanges right now because all of the exchanges are worried about the US SEC, which has been very antagonistic towards existing players in the crypto space. So they're slow to add coins anyway. So then if there's a high level of flooding, especially from a US market with a bunch of US people complaining, then you're going to see it's going to be harder for them to get on exchanges. But wait till the bull market comes. When the bull market comes, Ecomi's token will probably do just fine. And all the haters and all the flooders, it's not as if they're going to admit how wrong they were. They're just going to disappear and not say anything. That's usually what happens. Almost never do they come out and issue a mea culpa. They just disappear because they usually have sold out of crypto anyway, or in almost nothing in crypto. So they have nothing to talk about as far as what they did well on. So they literally just go away and disappear, and people forgot they ever existed. Yet I don't forget. I remember who all the fudders were over time. I remember who the fudders were on Cardano in 2020 when I was loading up at 3 cents. And all the people that were fudding it at the very bottom. And yet it went 100x for me on that. And I won't forget who the fudders were this cycle either. I tend to remember those things, and it makes me kind of smile inside thinking about, gosh, how they're just so new, and they thought they're like 18-year-olds, right? You know how 18-year-olds think they know everything at 18? And maybe they know 100% of the 3% of the knowledge that teenagers really could even know. So they think they know everything because within their small world of the 3% of knowledge out there, they figured all of that 3% out, and they feel like they know everything, but they have no idea the greater world around them, what's going on. And that's who a lot of these fudders are. They feel like they know so much, and yet they don't understand patterns, market cycles, how this is all part of a broader market cycle. This happens with every good project out there. The fundamentals on Ecomi is one of the strongest fundamental crypto projects out there. And yet they're fudding it at the bottom and getting people to sell at the bottom. And why does that even always happen? It happens all the time. Just because people think they know something, just because they have a loud voice, people think, well, they must know something. They're so confident in what they're saying. So they do FUD a lot of people out of it. Paul Barron. Oh, well, bless his heart. Yeah, he has some kind of partnership or something with Animoca Brands. He covers a lot of Animoca Brands projects now. About the time he was turning away from VV, maybe he was upset that maybe, I don't know. I don't know why he soured so much on VV/Ecomi. It was somewhat ridiculous. And his analysis on why didn't make sense to me. He literally fudded at the bottom and probably caused some of his audience to sell literally at the bottom back here. And I hope people have a memory. I do have a memory. I'm not going to forget about Paul Barron. And I generally like his show. I think he's one of the channels that has some of the best guests on. And I love shows that bring on great guests. So, but just because he has a pretty large audience doesn't mean he knows what he's talking about. So generally he does okay. He does have a Twitter sentiment indicator that he's built. He has a computer science background. That's cool. But think about it. If you're using Twitter sentiment to indicate when to buy and sell, when things, fall off the Twitter sentiment indicator, meaning sentiment has gone really low, that should not necessarily be a sell point, because that means you're literally selling at the bottom. And then you don't buy again till it hits your sentiment radar, which is probably too late. You missed the bottom. You bought halfway up the rise. And so you just missed a whole big juicy part of that trade. So I like to buy when sentiment is really low on a project, yet fundamentals are strong. It's worked out really well for me. And for many of you, like I was thinking about this the past month, how well our audience is going to do in the coming year. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Many of you who have been here and you have stuck around since 2021 and really dug in and learned these principles, so that 2022 and 2023, you're making a lot of smart pickups. And even though it feels like your portfolio is down, because it most likely is, that's what happens when you dollar cost average during a bear market. And it's okay that you're going to have the most incredible year in 2024 and maybe partly into 2025. And we'll be talking about things like taking profits and other things that many of you, your finances are drastically change in the coming year, like you don't yet understand. And that's going to be fun to watch. Love all the testimonials that we're going to be having. Maybe some of you or many of you or all of you, we can get video testimonials from you a year from now. It'll be pretty fun and talk about your journey and where you started and what helped you stick around during the bear market and to buy when most people were leaving. Why did you stick around? Why did you buy things when it was so cheap and everyone else wasn't? What helped you? What were you hoping would happen? And then what did happen? And I look forward to those stories. All right, so we have our winners today. Any other questions? If not, we'll wrap up. Fun. It's been a little bit since we did our live stream. Want to thank our strategic partners, OneChain and Definity. They are both top-notch projects that I really, really believe in, both of them. Their fundamentals are super strong, and their prices are at a really good, attractive price. Think about Definity being in the AI narrative too, versus where some of the projects in the AI narrative are. It really, as I was processing on that conversation, realizing that they were squarely within the AI narrative too. They haven't really talked about it. I feel like Definity is massively undervalued, not only from where it's going to be in the bull market, but even for what the value should be now, where we are before the bull market runs. Cool. All right. Well, no other questions. I'm going to play this rap. Let this rap just be a fun way to reinforce the principles that we share. That's what this rap is built for. Hope you find it fun. I do.
To the space, chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, you buy before you could. Was told to buy when it was pouring like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always make the time in mind. I stick the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't leave with my heart. The principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Buy when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, go parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. The time is never better, the time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, to study and to know that nothing comes easy but with knowledge the game show. Sticking out this wrong, cause soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing, and when it's slow will be the target. They say it's come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. Sticking around, the time is better. I'm strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time, the ball will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort, cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. They go with the hate, say the haters be cracking. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down, addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough, and that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.